We will now present to Mr. Adrian Walker the Chancellor's Medal for Distinguished Service. Our university bestows this honor upon individuals whose accomplishments embody the values our institution holds dear. A leading Boston Globe columnist with a focus on politics and social change, Adrian Walker, the University of Massachusetts Boston recognizes you and celebrates your achievements. You joined the Globe in 1989 as a general assignment reporter after 3 years at the Miami News. Since then, you have covered many of the most important local stories of the past 3 decades, from the Charles Stewart murder case to the Boston Marathon bombings, for which the Globe received the Pulitzer Prize in 2014, to the social justice protests of this past year. You were also a member of the Globe Spotlight team that was a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize for local reporting in 2018 for the series Boston, Race, Image, Reality. Recently, you were featured as a commentator in the Netflix documentary Trial 4, which examined the unjust conviction and subsequent exoneration of Sean Ellis for the 1993 slaying of Boston Police Detective John Mulligan. That all may know of your prize-winning reporting and insightful commentary on issues and events that impact the citizens of the Commonwealth, the University of Massachusetts is honored to confer upon you Adrian Walker, the Chancellor's Medal for Distinguished Service. And now I give you our 2020 medalist, Mr. Adrian Walker.
Chancellor Suarez Orozco, former Chancellor Newman, President Meehan, and most of all, graduates of 2020, I cannot thank you enough for the honor of appearing before you today to celebrate your historic accomplishments. For several reasons, it came as a pleasant surprise when Catherine Newman asked me way back in December 2019 to give this address. I was surprised because of my lack of ties to the school. I was surprised because, well, I never actually graduated from college myself. It's a long story. And of course, that was just the beginning of the surprises. I don't have to remind anyone here today what came next: a pandemic followed by a worldwide shutdown. Commencement, at least for spring 2020, was out the window. But you soldiered on. You finished your task. You crossed the finish line. In this city so full of colleges and universities, I've always held a special place for UMass Boston. You see, I attended community college, followed by an urban commuter college that was in the early stages of establishing dormitories. Many of the students at that college, Florida International University in my case, were first-generation Americans. More than a few were forging a new path in their families. Some of that may sound familiar to some of you. But the real reason I've always quietly cheered on UMass Boston is because it reflects the city we are becoming, the place we are striving to become. A city of opportunity for the many, not just the few. For those who may have felt left out, not just those born to privilege. A city less rooted in the old stories of class and clan. UMass Boston stands nearly alone as a mirror of the city we are becoming. Truly diverse, a place of challenges, yes, but opportunities, and a hub of innovation. By almost any measure, it is one of the most diverse universities in the area, and it is an institution that has placed in a real premium on inclusion. In a college ecosystem driven by college rankings and the classism that often goes with it, UMass Boston has consistently chosen a different path. That's something you can all be proud of. I'm mindful that I'm speaking to a group of graduates who are already 1 year removed from campus, who have already entered the so-called real world. You have gone into a world racked with uncertainty. Truthfully, it's always been a bit uncertain, but it's shaky now in a different way. You've gone into a world where many of the old notions about who succeeds or doesn't are under daily challenge. That's a good thing. You've moved into a world where facts feel negotiable, where truth is endlessly subjective, where even the most basic shared values can feel lost. Just consider January 6th, for example. That is not necessarily one of the good changes. I hope that as you move into this world, you will be champions of justice and equity and truth. I hope you will stand by the conviction that everyone deserves a fair chance, including you, and that some things are right and others are wrong. Because if we abandon that, we're all in trouble. If there's one thing that defines UMass Boston, in my eyes, it's the conviction that everyone willing to work hard, sacrifice, and commit to learning belongs. That is something to hold on to, even as you move on. I have a friend named Maurice Cunningham, who a few of you may know. For years, he has been a distinguished professor of political science at UMass Boston. I've occasionally spoken to his classes. A few years ago, he told me a story about a UMass Boston commencement that I've never gotten out of my head. You see, one of my most favorite courses to teach is his seminar on Lincoln's political philosophy. Some of his students, of course, arrive in the classroom not knowing all that much about the great emancipator. Anyway, at a graduation event a few years ago, he met the father of one of his students, who happened to be an immigrant. And this parent told him that he had also been glancing at his daughter's textbooks and coursework as she went through the course. You didn't know that when you were teaching her about Lincoln, you were teaching all of us, this proud parent told Cunningham. Mo thinks of it as a quintessential example of why it's so rewarding to teach here, and I'm sure it is that. But I mention it for a slightly different reason. Your education here, the time and effort, blood and sweat that brought you to this day, will touch everyone around you, sometimes in ways you don't even know. So you are leaving, yes, but what really matters today is what you are taking with you. The city, state, and region are in sore need of what the determined, resourceful, and brilliant students of UMass Boston give it. Yes, that means you. You're an essential part of Boston's story. I think this is the part where I'm supposed to say, go forth, or something like that. What I will say instead is, dream big, and then dream bigger. Not only is today not an ending, it's barely even your beginning. You have already survived plague and pestilence, and here you are. Notice how much you've already done. Appreciate how far you've already come, and then keep going. I can't wait to see where the class of 2020, a class like none other, will go, and I will always cheer you on. Thank you again for this great honor.